When attaching the trailer onto the back of your vehicle, you must ensure that each of these chains are crossed over. So this one is going to cross over and attach to this side of the vehicle, and the other is going to cross over there, and they must always be attached. The other thing you must ensure is once you've lowered this over the tow ball, this must always be engaged and in lock position. If this isn't locked in and left sitting upright like so, then the trailer can bounce off the tow ball and fall to the ground. We don't want that. Always ensure once you've got this sitting on your tow ball that you have locked this in and stuck the pin in, and she's good for towing. This particular boat has a breakaway which also must be attached to your vehicle. Not all boats have them. These big boats do, the 7 metre pluses do. They're fitted with electric brakes. These are attached to your vehicle. Typically we're going to thread that through there, then plugged in to the rear of your vehicle. When towing the boat, you must always ensure that this chain is attached to the trailer at all times. The only time that comes off is at the bottom of the boat ramp when you're launching or retrieving. But as soon as you've retrieved that boat onto the trailer, you attach this chain, you make sure this is winched up nice and tight. None of our boats are drive-on trailers. You must winch them on and winch them off. The winch handle, if it's not stuck onto the winch, leave it either in your boat or in your vehicle. Never leave the winch handle hanging off the trailer. It'll either get pinched or it'll fall off. As an idea as to how far you back the trailer down the boat ramp, you basically want, if your feet are standing directly in line to this winch barrel, your feet should be just getting wet. The tyres are in the water, and you need about 1 metre of water behind the motor to launch the boat. You basically do not want to back the trailer so far down that the boat is floating on the trailer. You need a little bit of weight of the boat sitting on the trailer to enable you to winch the boat up and centre along the trailer. We certainly don't want your trailer back so far that our electrics and your electrics get wet. So 1 metre behind the boat is ample for launching the boat. Up the top is your reef anchor. That's the anchor you're going to use 90% of the time up here in Exmouth. There's a sand anchor on board, but that's for emergency only. Stick with your reef pick, it will keep life simple. This boat is equipped with oversized signs. Take them off at the car park at the boat ramp before you launch the boat, of course. All boats have aerials, which are down when towing over the canopy. So whilst you're towing the boat, they stay down over the canopy. When you're on the water, you fix them up, and then when you've brought them back out of the water again, whack them down back over the canopy again. Okay. It has no battery isolator. Some of them do, some of them don't. So this one doesn't, so you pretty much turn and go. When you're towing the boat, the motor will rest on this leg here. So before you go down the boat ramp, you're going to come around here. This particular trim is located, nope, on the wrong side. Hang on. On this side. So at the car park, you're going to jump out of your bus, trim the motor up, flick the leg up, and this is the position that the motor must be in when you're going up or down the boat ramp. When you're coming in, of course, at the end of the day, you're going to do that at the steering wheel end of the boat. However, you must make sure that the motor is switched off prior to trimming it up and up out of the water. So under no circumstances do you leave this part of the motor and below submerged out of the water whilst the motor is running. Otherwise you'll burn out your impeller. Once the boat's back on the trailer, you've winched it onto the trailer and the chain's attached to the trailer. you're going to drive up to the top of the boat ramp, and again at the car park you're going to jump out of your vehicle, come around here, flick the leg down, trim the motor down, and she's good for towing. Other things to note on the back of this part of the boat is you have a fuel shut-off valve. That's located over there. The blue handle for this particular boat is your fuel shut-off valve. So should you get a fire or anything in the motor, you're going to turn that 90 degrees and that's going to isolate the motor from the fuel tank. Other features that the boat may have is on the other side here. This particular boat has a manual bilge pump. So if she takes on water and you need to pump out the hull, there's a handle located in the boat, which I'll show you. You stick the handle here and you pretty much start pumping the water out. Always ensure that your bungs are in. I often get clients to remove the bungs so that they can see that the boat has a nice dry hull, and then they're going to place the bungs screw the bungs into the boat before they leave the yard. A small but vital part of the equation. All our motors are 4-stroke motors and take 91 unleaded fuel. Fuel tank. Most of the fuel tanks are located on the port side of the motor. The key for it is located either here at the ignition for this boat, or it will be on a bit of string attached to the rail here. Most boats come with deck wash, which is here for this particular boat, which is a saltwater pump that you can allow you to wash and hose the boat down as you're going along. For this boat you can switch it on here. The deck wash will mean you can keep the boat clean, free of blood and guts, so at the end of your hire all you need to do is come back and just give it a fresh water rinse. Yep. Starting the motor. Make sure it's in neutral, make sure the kill switch is in, and then you start the motor. If the kill switch isn't in properly, you're going to get all these check motor signs flashing up on the gauge, so do check that that kill switch is in correctly. A thing to note with the gauge: the boat comes full of fuel, it must be returned full of fuel. All 6-metre boats come with a 150 litre fuel tank in them. As a check to see how much fuel you've used, aside from using this gauge, if you remember the acronym MRS, MRS, which represents menu, right arrow, set, you'll see here it's a trip meter as to how many litres you've used. When you get to the 70 or 80 litre mark, you need to come back towards your boat ramp. You don't necessarily need to come in, but you need to head back and be no more than a couple of k's away. This rule will also apply when it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The idea behind this is that should you have a breakdown and you need assistance or a tow-in, you're no more than a couple of k's away from the boat ramp towards the end of the day, and it keeps the situation simple and safe. Other things to note: all boats come with a colour sounder and GPS. For this particular one, you're going to flick the fuses down, and we're just going to turn them on to sounders on, just so you can see it's a colour Furuno sounder. It's set up so you plug and go. So if you can read a sounder, you'll have no trouble using the sounder. Over here is your GPS. When you turn it on, it will always centre to where the boat's located. You've got your zoom out here. I'll just scroll up. There's 3 sanctuaries north of the boat ramp at the marina. If we zoom in here, it will show you. You've got one here at Bundigi, one at the top here, and there's another one up here. So just so you know that the GPSs are marked with sanctuaries, and generally they have marks on the boat. This one has been set to, let's go to charts and let's go to fishing charts. That should show you marks on the boat. There we go. And I have to zoom out of that. So all these green squares there represent marks that have been inputted by other crew. Okay, we can stop that. Radio is located here. It's a VHF radio. 16 is Sea Rescue. There's no log on, log off during the week, but the coppers always monitor channel 16. Channels 21 and 22 are your boat to boat. But if you don't know any other boats around, I'd just stay on 16 and keep it safe. In here is your handle for your manual bilge, and over here is a spare bung. EPIRB's here. This is life and death situation when you utilise this. You pull it out of the bracket, pull out the lanyard and attach it to yourself, flick this up and push that all the way down. Okay, so underneath the boat, you've got a sand anchor. That's an emergency anchor only. You've got a drift anchor. You've got your life jackets up underneath there. You've got 6 adult life jackets. In that PVC tube is a laminated marine chart of Exmouth Gulf. And in that tub there will be your flares and your first aid kit. When you return the boat, you need to give it a wash down, but don't bother about flushing the motor. We sort that out. So just remember, it's got to be full of fuel, hose down, fresh